Have you ever heard of someone who speaks Spanglish? Me too. This is when a person who is bilingual in both English and Spanish switches back and forth between the two languages in the same conversation, or even the same sentence. This is an example of code switching, which is a mixing of languages or language varieties within a single conversation. This kind of code switching is voluntary, and it often happens between multilinguals who share knowledge of two or more languages. Multilinguals often use elements of more than one language when speaking with each other. Overt code switching is associated with processing costs. However, convert language switching also occurs when a person uses only one language, but influence from another language's grammar interferes with the language being used. An example of this is switching the order of the noun and the adjective in the English sentence, "I saw the girl pretty." Involuntary code mixing occurs when a multilingual experiences the inability to deactivate the unintended language. An example of this is the trilingual woman who suffered from a left hemisphere stroke that left her with impaired language control. This proved to be a problem because she would randomly code switch within sentences so that monolinguals around her could not understand her. As she said, "I cannot comunicare con you."
This raises the question of how multilinguals control what language they use all the time. There are certain contexts where one language is necessary, for example, work versus school versus home. In these contexts, multilinguals have to control which language they use so that people around them will understand them. There are two hypotheses for how bilinguals control which language they use. The first is language selectivity, or the light switch theory. This theory predicts that bilinguals will not experience interference from one language to another. The second theory is language non-selectivity, or the whack-a-mole theory. This theory predicts that bilinguals will experience interference between languages. The accurate theory is whack-a-mole theory. We have evidence from the bilingual Stroop task where English-Spanish bilinguals were given Spanish words and told to name the color of the word in English. When the color of the word listed in Spanish did not match the color, the responses took longer, showing that even when participants are told to use a specific language, the other language is active. This means that multilinguals have to actively control which language they use at all times. They do that with these two tools: interference suppression, which allows them to ignore distractions, and response inhibition, which allows them to produce the preferred language. Therefore, multilinguals use cognitive control at all times to navigate multiple languages.